Let's take a look at the sightings. Now, last Sunday's gospel reading came out of the 16th chapter of Matthew, verses 13 to 20. Today's gospel comes out of the 16th chapter of Matthew, verses 21 to 27. So the same chapter. Today's gospel reading is a build-up and picks up where last Sunday's gospel left off. Now what we're going to discover, and it's important to put these two together, because in these two gospels, a very unfortunate twist of fate occurs for Peter. Let's take a look at a snippet from last Sunday's gospel. Last Sunday's gospel, we're just going to look at verse 18, and it says there, "And so I, Jesus, say to you, Peter, you are Peter, and upon this rock I'm going to build my church." Now, if you remember last Sunday's gospel reading, Jesus asked his disciples, "Who do people say that I am?" And they reply, "Some say you're Elijah, some say you're Jeremiah, some say you're one of the prophets." And then Jesus said to Peter, "But who do you say that I am?" And Peter said, "You are the Christ, the Son of the living God." And then Jesus said, "You are Peter, and upon this rock I'm going to build my church," because Jesus was excited based upon the fact that Peter understood exactly who he was. And Jesus thought to himself, this Peter is going to make a great leader. But let's look at what happens in today's gospel reading again. Verse 18, he's the rock. Let's take a look at today's gospel reading section, verse 22. Now there it is. He, Jesus, turned and said to Peter, "Get behind me, Satan. You are an obstacle to me." Is that amazing? Now let's put those two together to take a look at them simultaneously, and we'll get a bigger impact of what's going on here. There it is, verse 18. "You are Peter. Upon this rock I will build my church." Verse 22, out of the same chapter, he turned to Peter and said, "Get behind me, Satan. You are an obstacle to me." You see, Peter had to say to himself, I felt so good back when Jesus told me you are the rock, and now I feel lousy because he said you're Satan. See, I checked this out. It turns out to be, chapter 16 is a conversation Jesus is having with his disciples. So I said to myself, the distance between verse 18 and verse 22 is the distance of conversational time. How much time did it take Jesus to get from verse 18, what he said there, to what he said in verse 22? So I got out my Bible and I timed it. I went slow, I went real slow, I went fast. I'm trying to figure out conversational time. And on average, to get from verse 18 to 22, 17 seconds. In 17 seconds, Peter went from being called Peter, you are my rock, all the way to be called Satan. So 17 seconds. Peter had to walk away and say, what happened? I had it all just a couple seconds ago. And everything collapsed. That's sometimes how life works. At one moment you have it all, and the next moment everything collapses. Well, I don't think there's anything on the face of this earth that really allows us to understand the value of life until we understand the value of an instrument that we all play. Right now, I'm playing an instrument, you are playing an instrument, everyone sitting there, and those who might be sitting and listening, you're also playing this incredible instrument, and this instrument explains to us the value of life and how quickly life can change when you truly understand the value of this instrument. What is the instrument I'm talking about? Anyone know? Not only your mind, but and that's good, but it's another instrument. We're using it right now. Everyone here, your instrument's playing right now. Pardon me? Brain, our brain's working right now, but there's another instrument that allows the brain to work. It's this instrument right here. Now listen to that. Wow. Is that beautiful? You hear the beat of that heart? It is the greatest sound of music I've ever heard. Let's just take a second to listen to that beautiful sound. That's my heart. That's your heart. And when you look at that heart and you listen to that sound, you say to yourself, wow, what beautiful music, and how quickly my life can change. Here's what happens. On average, the heart beats 72 times a minute. That means that the heart beats once every second. And by the time a person hits their 80th birthday, that person's heart has beat 4 billion times. It's absolutely amazing how much work that heart does in the course of a lifetime. Now, since the heart beats 72 times a minute, that means it beats once a second, and there are 12 seconds every minute that the heart beats twice. Now, that I find absolutely amazing. And if you ever talk to someone, you're talking about someone who just died, you might hear them say, well, the person was here 1 minute and gone the next. But that's a very generous expansion of time. Since the heart beats once a second, and twice in 12 seconds out of every minute, you can actually say the person was here 1 second and gone in the same second. In the same second. When that heart stops. Oh, what a beautiful sound. And you say to yourself, that can change my life when I no longer hear the beautiful beat of the quality of that sound. If you ever listen to a piece of music up to this point this morning, no music you listen to up to this point is better than the music of the beating heart. And what it teaches us is how quickly life can change. We can leave this world in any given second, can be our last second. And that's always true because so 1 second it will be. The message to the gospel is fairly simple, but I think it's something we all want to make sure we take home. Peter went in verse 18 to verse 22 from being called the rock all the way to be called Satan. It only took 17 seconds for his entire world to turn upside down. But that's happened in my life before. That's happened in your life before. When you get a phone call and you answer it, and the person on the other end of the line is telling you about a tragic accident of a family member or a friend, or the passing of someone you love or someone you know, and you can barely put the receiver back under the hook, and you say to yourself at that point, everything changed now. My life will never, ever be the same. What music? If your life is going along really well this morning and everything is working out just the way you want it to, what you need to do is enjoy your life, appreciate your life, celebrate your life. Why? Because it is not going to last. If right now, for the last couple months or last couple weeks or last couple days, you're in a dark spot, your life is not going along well, you're suffering from depression and anxiety and difficulty and angst, and you're not sure if you can continue on, you need to endure. And why is that? Because it isn't going to last. For you can go from bad to good and good to bad in just a heartbeat. What a beautiful sound. The gospel reading teaches one valuable lesson: how quickly life can change. For I could be here 1 second and gone in the same second.